Hey guys, so today we are answering a subscriber question, and the question in question is, Frederick, what will set will machine learning set developers apart in the future? So let's get into it. Well, the way that I think about this is basically that I think we need to talk a little bit about machine learning before we can actually say yay or nay on this. And if you have a look at the machine learning practices, like the basic patterns that we have for machine learning today, you will notice something, hopefully, and that is that most of the bulk value of machine learning can be achieved through a fairly small set of algorithms. The actual study of machine learning is much more about mathematics than it is computer science, at least if you want to go into the actual nitty-gritty details of it. But for most practical use cases that we have, like the most practical use cases we have today when it comes to machine learning, there are already fairly sustained and established libraries for how to do this. TensorFlow would be an example of this, where the library is already created, and for you as a developer, it pretty much comes down to understanding the theory and the application of the already created algorithms. If we talk about machine learning like actually continuing the field of study, that's much more about mathematics than it is computer science. So you can think of us as being you can think about programmers more being consumers of machine learning knowledge and innovation than the innovators in that area. But what I think is going to happen is that the understanding of machine learning and the ability to write machine learning algorithms, or at least apply already existing algorithms to business problems, is going to start to matter more and more. That is a trend that we're seeing today. I don't think necessarily that we will get to a point where having a really in-depth mastery of machine learning is going to be all that valuable. We might be there today, but I think that things will go in a fairly similar manner to how other specialist fields within computer science has gone, where we build higher and higher abstractions to a point where you can basically get almost let's say roughly 80% of the value from simply having people understand the libraries that have already been created. If you think about cryptography, it's a very similar thing. Even if you take a very advanced in-depth course in cryptography, it's very unlikely that you will ever do anything besides understand and comprehend the underlying mechanisms, but the actual practical use case is always going to be use a prepared library, because making a cryptographic function or something like that by yourself is very unlikely going to be a good idea, and especially not if you're going to apply it in actual work. And I think machine learning is a very similar thing to cryptography in this scenario, where basically it's going to be just another tool in your toolbox when it comes to solving business problems. And I mean, the requirement is there. So an example is Tensor.js, or TensorFlow for JavaScript, basically. That is an example of where even highly technical fields is already getting into mainstream programming, where you have now tools that are kind of cross-platform. Well, not cross-platform, but more and more languages are simply allowing you to do this. I mean, C# has an initiative to improve machine learning in their platform. Python has had it for quite some time, and is probably one of the most famous programming languages for this. And then now that JavaScript is getting it, I mean, the other languages are kind of following suit, because the next generation of problems that we programmers are going to solve, or rather the way that products evolve within the industry, is going to more and more go towards the sort of demands where machine learning really fits well, if that makes sense to you. So basically what I want you to take away from this is that I don't think you will get to a point where you set yourself apart as someone who, just because you know machine learning. Today that is the case, and it might be the case for a little while, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get to a point where fairly soon-ish, knowing machine learning is just considered to be not necessarily a core skill, but it's going to be a much more common thing than you think, because as machine learning stands today, not every business has a machine learning problem that they really want to invest in solving, but we're getting to that point because machine learning more and more of the problems that we're facing as an industry today are being solved using machine learning. So as you can imagine, the more people who promote it and say that it can actually prove that they're getting quite a lot of value from it, the more demand is going to raise, the demand is going to raise for it, and therefore it gets more attention, therefore more people invest into tooling and so forth to actually provide those, provide these algorithms and the solutions that come with them. So yeah, that's basically my thinking on it. I don't think it's right now you set yourself apart if you know machine learning, but within a few years I think that it's just going to be considered yet another skill a programmer should have. Have a great day.